Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. All right. I think you.
Check, check.
All right, we're good now.
Check, 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 check.
All right. Let me get a thumbs up if we're good. I think we're good now. Looks like I gotta keep this open. All right. Yes, sound. Thank you very much. All right. It didn't like that my computer fell asleep here, so I guess the audio's being controlled by my computer. But let me remove this. All right. Check, check. Check, 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 check. All right. Let me just.
All right, check, check.
All right. It looks like I got to keep this page open here on my laptop. All right. Usually it doesn't do this, but that's what happens when we go live. All right. All right. Good stuff. All right. I'll keep this page open here just so the audio could work. All right. Let's now begin. Okay. Hello. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to Romero Threads, Saturday morning embroidery school. Today we have a very jam-packed, informative training today. We are talking about one of my favorite garments to embroider on, which are polo shirts. And if you're working on polo shirts, most likely you are making money. Okay, you are working with businesses, and we'll talk about all the good stuff about polo shirts. All right, I think I'm good. Yeah, I could hear my audio on my. Yep, I hear my audio on the iPad here. All right, cool, cool. All right, so the question for today, I just posted it right here. What are we working on today? Uh, I myself and us here at our shop, we are working. We just have 24 beanies to work on today. All right, so easy day today. As soon as we're done, eat breakfast, knock out this project, and get ready for this amazing weekend that we got this weekend. Right, Super Bowl weekend. So I'm pretty sure everybody got plans for tomorrow. Okay, so go ahead. Just let us know what you're working on today. All right, let me put that away. All right, all right. And welcome everybody. Looks like we got everybody woke up pretty early today. Okay. I know if you're running an embroidery shop, especially a home embroidery shop, all right, Saturdays are your go-to days, especially for us. Saturdays are very special because we get to do our work, our main work. We get to do personal stuff and we get to hang out with family. All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Okay, because I know we all very busy people, but of course it's always good to learn about different learn about everything we can about our industry and to get feedback from anybody that has experience working with this topic today. Okay, so polo shirts, if whether you're an expert on polo shirt or you're just beginning, polo shirt is always going to be a a highly uh not recommended, but a highly requested garment to do. Okay, no matter how hard you try, you can never run away from somebody asking you for polo shirts. All right, it goes with being an embroiderer. Polo shirts is just a given. Okay, reason why I like polo shirts. Okay, so why are polo shirts so popular? Okay, I think that why are polo shirts so popular? First of all, right, business wise, pretty much every business uses a polo shirt now, right? From the service industry to the more upscale professional corporate type, right? They're always from here to here, both side of the spectrum. Okay, it's all about polo shirts. So there is no way, right? If as long as you know a company, you can always sell a polo shirt. That's just a given. All right. So this is kind of, I would say, this is easily an easy entry into any type of niche because every niche needs a polo shirt. All right. The reason why I like polo shirts so much, number one reason, or I won't say the number one reason, but I have at least three real big reasons. Big reasons. Uh, you're dealing with companies, okay? When you're dealing with companies, a lot of it is business, and you're talking about an organization, okay? So it's a business. You're doing multiple. So you're doing my sweet spot. I like to do orders between 12 and 48 orders. Okay, so kind of like as a small home business, that's kind of like our sweet spot. We got a real quick turnaround with that. Okay, no, another reason why we like it, stitch count, right? Stitch count, relatively small. Okay, you should be anywhere between 3,000 and 10,000 stitches when you're doing polo shirts. Of course, you can go more up, but I've seen some shirts go up to 18,000 stitches, and now it starts getting too dense. Okay, so that's when us as subject matter experts, we might have to recommend something else. Like, hey, we might want to put that on a patch instead of throwing 18, 25,000 stitches, right, on a little piece of the shirt, right? Because you don't want it to start sagging. All right, so relatively low stitch count. Okay. And usually, if you're doing left chest logos, usually you're doing just easy, simple logos, right? Because a corporate logo or a business logo, usually maybe 90% of the time, is very straightforward, very clean, and simple. Okay. Of course, there's always your exception, all right? You're always going to have your crazy detailed logos, okay? But as long as you understand the basics of it, you can always, adjust whatever you got to adjust. All right. All right. Let's look at the chat. Let's see what we got going on. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Looks like working on we got Audrey working on twill lettering. All right, that's cool. We got Rolanda. We got 12 polos, 12 hats. Okay. Yep. That's usually that's exactly the type of projects that I like to do. Because usually you do polos, it's like, hey, you want a hat to match with that? So that's usually a automatic upsell right there. All right. We got Savvy Designs embroidering on button downs and vests. Okay, button downs. Yep, cool. Hats and polo shirts. All right. Those are like best friends right there. Okay. That's exactly why I like polo shirts, because that's an easy upsell. Like if you're gonna get polo shirts, you might as well get hats with that, right? So usually you're doing one or the other. Okay. It's an easy upsell. Usually that's how it goes, right? All right, cool, cool. All right, we got good morning, Magli. We got our two head Ricoma delivered. Thank you for your recommendation. Waiting on personal training. All right, cool, cool. Uh, let's see, we got T-Town shirts. Morning just did 8 polos this past week. Ended up buying the stand to help with lineup to be in the same. Yep, 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 yep. So we're gonna talk about placement today. Uh, Placement on polo shirts. Once you got your placement nailed down, all right, it's just clockwork after that. You know, you're just knocking them out. All right, so that's cool. All right. Good morning, Teresa, watching from SoCal. All right. So we got a packed house today. All right. Rocking what I missed. You didn't miss anything. You just missed a little minor technical difficulties with the mic. Okay. Um, Let me just keep that page open because it looks like my audio goes down when this page goes down. All right. All right. So let's begin. Before we start getting into the actual thing, let me just have a small little informational about polo shirts. Okay. Three major components of of polos. Okay. Now let me rewind one bit. Okay. What usually happens? Okay, you get a customer that wants polo shirts, and they don't really know what they want. Okay, they don't know. They want something nice. That's all they know. I want something nice. So most likely they're gonna tell you, I want the best polo shirt you have. Okay, or I want the nicest polo shirt you have. Okay, one or the other is gonna be one something like that. Now that's a question that's kind of like an opinionated question, right? Because There's so many choices. There's so many possible choices that you could go with, right? That if you have to choose that polo shirt, okay, uh, you might not get it perfectly right what the customer wants, right? So you actually have to ask questions. You got to ask them, hey, what do you need it for? Who is it for, right? Let me see the logo. Let me see how dense it is, because that's all gonna play a role. That's all gonna play a role on the choices that they have. Okay, so really, polo shirts come down to three major components. Okay, the material. All right, you really have two choices. You have cotton, you have polyester. Okay, so you have a natural fiber, you have synthetic fibers. All right. So thing with cotton, a little heavier than polyester. Okay. So you'll see all the Nike, the nice, more upscale type Nike brand type stuff. That's more with polyester. Okay. It gives you that nice silky feel. Okay. Very popular for golf type shirts. Then you have your cotton, right? You have your cotton, the more heavy. So I would compare that to like the Lacoste shirt. If you see that, you would see the details. Okay, you would see the details of the stitching, all right, of the knit, all right. So just think cotton, more heavy, okay, more heavy, more texturized, and polyester, more stretchy, more silky, all right. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, okay. And then of course you have the combination of both, cotton, polyester. So you got to know. I kind of over here at our shop, we kind of have a little sweet spot in between. Okay, so I like going kind of like a blended mix of cotton and polyester, and I'll kind of show you why with some of the examples that I have here. All right, knit. So number two, the major component is knit is PK versus jersey knit. So I'm pretty sure you've heard the word PK, right? Every time you hear polo. Okay, that's just your normal type. That's the one where you could see the actual knit. Okay, when you think of knit, just kind of think of like a grandma. Remember they used to knit. I don't know if they still knit nowadays. All right, but she had like the two needles, and she would just spend all day knitting. But you could see that texture, right? That texture. That's kind of like that knit look. Okay, jersey. When we're dealing with a jersey knit, that think of it like as a t-shirt, right? Very flat. You can't really see the texture of it. Okay. So that's another thing. Usually PK is usually the more popular one. Okay. The jersey fit. We'll talk about it when we look at some of these examples. Okay. But PK is usually the more popular type. Okay. And of course the fit, you have the fitted, the real fitted versus the loose. Uh, Here, or actually all of us in the garment industry, um, when we're dealing with our vendors, they don't really go towards the fitted, okay? Because if you're going with fitted, you might have a customer where it might not fit, all right? It might be too tight. So a lot of times when you're ordering the polo shirts, they come a little bit more. They have a little bit more space in the polo shirt, which is a good thing, right? For us as embroiderers, if somebody's ordering something, you don't want something to be too tight. So we'll look at some examples of fitted versus loose. But really, fitted, I would say fitted is more a customer getting something custom made or going to a specific brand and getting it fitted for them. Okay, because you have fitted slim, which is uncommon, which is kind of uncommon in the garment with the vendors that we use. Okay, usually with the vendors that we use, they don't really go too much as slim fit. Okay, so you gotta make sure if you do go slim fit, you gotta make sure the customer has already tried it on, because then it becomes a headache. All right, when stuff starts fitting small. All right, that's why I like the vendors. Usually all the vendors are the same. They kind of have a size that fits most. Okay. All right. So I have so let me read this real quick. So many variables are present when choosing the perfect polo shirt. Okay. So just like how I said in the beginning, when a customer says, "Hey, I want the best polo shirt you have," Well, it all depends, right? There's a lot of variations. There's a lot of best of everything, of different categories. You have the best of different categories. So you got to figure out in what category your customer kind of falls in. All right. Customer requirements and the purpose of the polos all play a role in the final selection. So is this for a very important meeting with or like a lunch with a very important person, or are you kind of like in the service industry, right? Let's say like a contractor or in the construction where you're gonna go and do heavy duty type work, right? So heavy duty usage. Will you be sweating? Will you be lifting heavy objects? Do you require toughness? Okay. So if there's a contractor calling you or asking you about a polo shirt, you don't want to give him something very thin, flimsy, but yet expensive. Okay. So just because something is expensive doesn't mean that's the best fit for that customer. Okay. And a very important question is how many stitches is your polo going to require? All right. So if they got a large amount of stitches, you don't want to get a polo shirt that's very thin. Okay. Because what's going to happen, it's going to start bunching up. You're going to start puckering up. All right. Uh, so number one thing when we're talking about polo shirts is you're asking the questions. So it's like an interview. You're interviewing your customer. You're trying to get as much feedback, right? You're getting as much feedback as possible. That way you can deliver the product that they want. Okay. Um, so polo features, really it comes down to a couple of features that we got to talk about. Okay. So here's some choices that need to be made. Some of these choices you're making it as as the subject matter expert. You're going to be making, or these are some of the items that you're recommending. Okay, so of course brand. Okay, there's customers that they want a specific brand, so you got to know which vendor sells what. Okay, so I already know Nike, one of the most popular brand. I already know I'm going Sanmar. Adidas, I already know I'm going SNS. All right, so those are really my two main brands that customers go with. Okay, and then Port Authority, which is my favorite, just general all around uh, polo type shirt. I know I'm going SNS. All right, so of course brand, fabric. What kind of fabric do you want? Do you want a polyester? Do you want a cotton? Okay. And if you're going in between with a mix, which one do you want? Sizes, fit. Okay. Weight. So weight is another thing. Uh, how thin do you want your shirt to be? Okay. So we're gonna go into all this on into all this detail right now. All right. And then price. Of course, for every category, you have your expensive, medium, and your most lowest price. Okay. So within these categories, each time you go to a category, all right, you're going to a different level. All right. And then purpose, what is the purpose of you wearing this t-shirt or this polo shirt? All right. Do you require toughness or are you more laid back? Or are you going to use this for golfing, tennis, all right, sports? Uh, are you going to, is this just for a formal type lunch? All right. So all questions that we want to think about. All right. So what I want to do right now, I want to take a field trip to one of my go-to vendors. Okay, when I deal with polo shirts. So my two vendors that we use here, SNS, Sanmar. Okay, SNS, we use them for hats and beanies and headwear, and then Sanmar, we use it for our polo shirts. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, let's go to the Sanmar website, and if you don't have an account with Sanmar, okay, this information that I'm going to go over with right now, it it can be with any vendor. All right, any vendor. All right, but Sanmar, all right, one of the best, and when it comes to vendors. All right, so we get here, this, and like I said, it could be with any vendor. Okay, um, so we get to polos, right? We're going to the polo shirt, and And as soon as you get to polos, right? So if you're trying to find the perfect polo shirt, as soon as you go to the search, right? Bam, you're hit with 345 products. It's like, wow, how do I make a decision with all these products, right? Of course, you could always go from price high to low. All right. Sanmar, this part of the website is available just to the general public. This is what the general public sees. Okay. So if you do have an account, your prices would be different, right? But this is what your customer sees. All right. What I like to do, okay, an easy way, okay, easy way. If you don't want to have that responsibility of finding the perfect polo shirt, okay, what I like to do is I like to send my customers this link. All right. So for example, on the brand, if somebody tells me, hey, I want the best Nike shirt that you have, right? So I'll send them to Sanmar here, and I'll just go to the brand, click on Nike, all right, and then I'll send them this link right here. So I'll copy and paste, all right, I'll copy and paste this link, and I'll tell them, hey, right, choose the one you want to go, right? That way they can make a decision whether they want to go to the highest, to the medium, to the lowest. Okay, they could see whatever fit uh, most matches what they need. All right, so that's my best way to kind of have the customer order. All right, so they could just choose what they want. All right, so that's the easy way, right? That's the easy way. Um, so let's go over some of these categories that they have. Okay, so some of the main categories, like I said, here fabric. Okay, fabric here. This plays a big role. So you have, just like I said, you have your polyester. Okay, you have your polyester up here, and then you have your, see more, then you have your 100% cotton. Okay, so these are our two spectrums right here. All right, these are our two spectrums. We have cotton. Okay, you don't really have too many of the cotton. You have 14, and then 100% polyester. Okay, this is kind of like what's in fashion right now, right? Everybody wants that cool, right? Because it's like Nike, right? Everybody's following suit with like the Nike stuff. Okay, so Nike and Adidas, all the major brands, they're going with the 100% polyester. Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that 100% polyester is the more expensive stuff, right? Because there are some garments, you got to be careful with this. There are some garments that are 100% polyester, but they're not the same quality as your name brand. Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the not so big brands don't have good quality. Okay. That just means there's no specific feature in Polo that says if it has this, then it makes it expensive. Okay, a lot of it is just the way it's cut. A lot of it is just the brand, right? Nike just as a brand, they're gonna up their price. All right. So a lot of times it's kind of hard to, unless you buy that polo shirt, to kind of feel if it's a good quality shirt. All right. But here you could see polyester, very popular with the more sportive. So the golf shirts, anytime we're doing golf events, all right, you already know you're going 100% polyester. Okay. Now the thing with 100% polyester, now you're talking about stretchiness, right? This is now stretchy type fabric. So now there's a lot of things that you're kind of adjusting, right, in the back end, right? You're in the back end with digitizing, with the stabilizer. Okay, there's certain things that you're going to do on the backside to kind of compensate for this extra stretchiness. All right. Cotton, when we're dealing with cotton, it's a little easier to embroider on cotton, right? Because it's more structured. Okay. It's more structured. It's a little thicker. All right. It doesn't require as much attention to detail as much as the polyester does. Okay. What I like kind of like in between the middle. Okay, I like the blends. All right, the blends. I like the blends. So anytime you see the blends, what that's saying is that's cotton and polyester mixed together. Okay, I think usually what we go with is a 60-40. Okay, um that's a common blend that you're gonna see a lot. All right, and then let me just show you one other thing here. All right, I'm a big fan of Port Authority. All right, Port Authority, like Polo wise, right? Polo wise, it's like you're not talking about the more expensive Nike stuff, but you're not talking about the lowest, cheapest stuff, right? You could kind of find a good happy medium. But what I like about them is their what do you call it? Their blends. Okay, their blends, perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'll show you some example right now of the ones that we use. Okay, but let's see. So here they kind of have the sweaters and everything, but you could go adult men, right? So when you're searching for this, adult men. Now, if you're just starting and you really don't have an idea like what is the more popular type polo shirts, or what's your go-to polo shirt? Because what we did in the beginning, we bought just a bunch of everything we thought that looked good. Okay, we bought it, we tested out, we sampled it out. So that way, when we do sell it to a customer or we recommend it to a customer, we've already seen it, we already played with it, right? We already tested it, we already know what's what, okay? Because there are some, they look real nice on the website, but when you actually get it, it's not like it's not really something that you would wear, okay? So that's kind of like the level where I'm at. If I like it, all right, if I like it, if it's something that I would like to wear, then yes, I would recommend it. But there's been times where something looked real good on the website, and then we bought it just to check it out, and it was okay, it was a miss. All right. So if that's the case, okay. Now the thing is, if you do buy samples and it's a miss, like something you don't really want to recommend, you at least have that as a sample, right? You could use it as a sample. You could sample other designs on that polo that you're really not gonna sell or do anything with it. Okay, but eventually, if you buy enough, especially if you go with a certain brand and you see the different styles, the different cuts, okay, eventually you'll become kind of like a SME or a subject matter expert, not only with polo shirt but with that brand. Okay, and then as soon as you kind of get familiar with that brand, you kind of go with the other brands. All right. So the good thing about uh usually when they have kind of like conventions or right, like the ISS just went through and all the big name stores were there. That's a perfect place where you can actually look at all these different polos, all these different polo shirts. All right. And also if you live near some of these warehouses, okay, so I know Sanmar, they got warehouses all over the place. They got showrooms, different showrooms. If you live near there, you can actually go to one of them. I think they stopped it for a while during the pandemic, but I think they reopened it. So you can actually go and see for yourself. So maybe you don't even have to buy all these samples. But if you could get your hands on some of these products, okay, if you could get your hands on some of these products, then you kind of know exactly what to recommend and what to sell. All right. So let's see. Bam. All right, good stuff. Let me see what else was there. So yeah, when you're just looking at that, so that way when you're looking at all the different when you're looking at all the different categories, all right, the more you understand how polo shirt works, the more it makes sense. Because when I first searched for polo shirt, I was like overwhelmed with all this information overload. It's like, oh wow, right? So this is just color. But here, fabric weight, okay, this is usually important. Like let's say you run a real heavy type polo shirt, anything over 6 ounce, all right, you're talking about real dense type polo shirts, all right. um, so if you do require something that's heavy duty, okay, it's usually here. Okay, it's usually here. And then usually a sweet spot that you're going to see most polo shirts are between here 4.5 to right below 6. Okay, that's usually sweet spot that you got there. And then you got real heavy up here. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean how heavy is the polo shirt. That just means as you know, as the fabric as a whole before they cut it. Okay, how many ounces is it per square feet or per square yard, something like that. All right. So it's just information you got to think of when you're recommending a polo shirt. Okay, and of course, adult. We have you got for women. So let's take out 6.1. All right. Of course, you're always going to recommend the same way you buy your polo shirts for men. You also want to buy the polo shirt that matches for the women. Okay, and of course the women they have a different cut. Okay, they have the different cut on the collar. All right, so we'll talk about some of these and how to go about embroidering it. All right. Good thing about this is about having a being familiar with your vendors and using this information is this is all information that the customer is asking you like, hey, why is this so expensive? Why is this that? What's the difference between these two? And then they have all the information here for you, so you could read up on it. Okay, they have product spec sheets. Okay, so if you want amplifying information, all right, you could see it all right here. All right, of course, the sizing. Sizing is a big deal, right? You want to see how do they size it? Okay, so here they're telling you how they size it. All right, and then you could print these out. All right, so for a lot of the ones that we have, I print out the spec sheets just in case I get a random question from a customer, right, about something about the product. All right, and then let's see. There was one more category. Closure, bam, bam. View by size. Okay, and then these are just the sizes. All right, so let's look at this one. Product spec sheet. All right, so when you're measuring for size, okay, this 42, 44. So this is the size that I use. Okay, usually, I would say 80% of the time, like customers, they know their size. Usually, whatever size they fall into. Okay, usually the brands here with with the vendors that we use, right? With most all vendors, usually they have a good like leeway. It's not like you have to be that perfect size or else it's gonna be too small. There's always little small play. Okay, but usually you want to see here. So like chest wise, it's just talking about the whole chest. Okay, so if a customer is kind of not sure, you can always tell them how to go about to check their sizing. Okay, here for usually for polo shirts, you only get one choice. It's kind of like the chest, right? There's other brands. There's some Nike brands where you could break them up. You could say a large in chest and how long and how big on sizing going long wise. Okay, so always look at see what options you have for that brand. All right, good stuff. Let me go back here. All right, let me make sure. Let me see if we have any questions right here. All right, if you got any questions, go ahead, drop just put a Q in it so when I'm scrolling, I could kind of. All right, Legine, I've been waiting for this. Excited to be here. Eager to learn. Thank you, ever. All right, thank you very much. All right, I need a small pad. What's this? Janet, she has a question. I need a small patch for a pair for sneakers. Where would I find a patch for sneakers? I don't know for what for like some chucks or. All right, that's a pretty good project. All right, uh, all right. Bar, appreciate that. Please hit the thumbs up. Support. Yep. Let's make sure. Let's let YouTube know that we're up. And we are on and popping. All right. Good morning, crafty Puerto Rican. Good morning. Bam, bam. All right. Yes, T-Town, you hit it right on the nail. Right. The problem now with that is that they are all out of a lot of products. Right. That is a big. That is something big. All right. Thank you for bringing that up. Inventory right now. Okay, inventory right now is scarce. What we're doing here, okay, what we're doing here to kind of go around that is anytime there's a specific product that's available, okay, we'll buy one, test it out. If it's good, then we'll buy a good amount of that. Okay, so it's all about stacking up on inventory. It is kind of hard right now to tell your customer, hey, what do you want? Okay. Hopefully those times kind of come back again, because probably it was even maybe last year it was still possible, but within the past 6 months, 3 months, okay, it's kind of not possible. So if you do have your go-to brand, all right, I would, yeah, that I would suggest to buy heavy inventory, and make sure you're ready to fulfill orders. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. All right, and then Barb says, do you find that Port Authority runs small on their stack? Uh, I don't think so. Not for me. Not for me. I think they run pretty good. All right. Because I'm a large. I don't have XL would be way too big for me, and I usually wear large on most polo shirts from the different brands. All right. Bam bam. All right. We have one question here. Do you use the sharp or ballpoint needle? And what is the smaller needle I could use on with 40 weight 3? All right, good question. Okay, we'll talk about that right now because I'm gonna embroider a polo shirt in a bit. Okay, we're gonna talk about the actual polo shirts that I got right here. But of course, ballpoint needle. All right, automatic. Do not use a sharp point. You might start tearing up some of the shirt. Okay, some designs you could probably get away with with a sharp needle, but eventually you're gonna get to a certain design where you're gonna start seeing your shirt getting beat up. All right. Smallest needle with a 40 weight. I use a 70 with a 40 weight. I don't think I've tried a 65 um, with a 40 weight. 65, I just use it with the 60 weight. But yeah, you could buy 70, uh, a 70 needle with 40 weight. All right. All right. Good stuff. We'll talk about that right now too. Yeah, because needles are very important. All right. Cool. All right. Let me go ahead. Let me set up the camera up here on this table. Uh, I have some samples of some shirts here. You just turn on some lights. Bam. All right. Uh, cool, cool. All right. So I just gathered up like a bunch of stuff that I use for polo shirts. I just have like a lot of random stuff that I use. All right. So as you can see, I just have just. All right. First, I'm gonna put this up for this little first thing that I'm gonna talk about. I got this cool thing right here that I kind of made for today's show. All right. What this is just different sizing. All right, different sizing, so you could kind of see how your logos are gonna look. All right. For example, okay, this is a kid polo. This is my go-to polo shirt right here. So this is the one that we bought like heavy inventory on this one. This is the Port Authority. Let me see. The K455. All right. Very good one here. All right. What I got here, I'm going to put this on the download. Okay. I'll put the download link later today. But what you could do, you could just cut these up. Okay. You could cut these up. So when you're trying to figure out if a certain logo or a certain size is going to fit pretty good, or the location of a design, right? You could kind of match it up with this. So this would be like this is the size of a business card, 3.5 by 2. Okay. So if you want to kind of see if a certain design looks good, okay, you could kind of put a little example here and see how it's going to look. Okay. Same thing. So these are just like popular sizes that you're going to see. So 3.5 by 1. I think the biggest you should go, okay, the biggest you should go with a polo shirt logo. 3.5 to me is like a sweet spot, but 4 inches is probably the max. Okay. I think 4 inches max Now you're kind of reaching, and you don't want it to be too big either. All right, so I got some sizes here. This is a 2.5. This is a real popular size that I have right here. Okay, 2.5. So yeah, I got a 4 by 1 here. All right, so later today, what I use when I do my my sample printout like this, I like to print it out on cardstock. Okay, so this is like a very heavy type paper. Okay, that way, if you're trying to, even when if you're talking to like a customer, you could kind of show them like, hey, this is an example of how your logo is gonna look. All right, all right. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit. Oh, all right. So we'll put this up. All right, just so you could use it as a reference. It's very handy because sometimes you can't really picture the design in your head, and you just want an actual representation of how the logo is gonna look. All right. So bam. Okay. So popular circle. My favorite or my best go-to size for a circle. This is for a patch. This is for a hat, and this is for a Polo 2 is a 2.5. Okay, 2.5 size. And let's talk about left chest placement. All right, left chest placement. We already know. Okay, we already know you definitely never want to go on the right side of your polo shirt, right? When you're trying to get your placement of a polo shirt. Okay, you're always aiming. What I like to do, I like this as a guide. So you have the collar here, the neck part of the collar. Okay, I like this as a guide. This is kind of telling you where you should be at. Okay, so let me show you here. Okay, so usually this line, okay, between here, all right, this actually has a lower line going up here, but usually a safe spot is between this second button and down below. Okay, so if you're trying to do it, if you're trying to get a quick placement, okay, you kind of know you're going on this side. Okay, you're going more heavy on this side because what happens is if you try to go this side, you're gonna kind of get lost in the armpit. All right, and you'll see that a lot with these type of logos. All right, the longer types. Sometimes you're in a good position center wise, but if your design is too long, it might start creeping close to the armpit. So if you're in that situation, you always want to go closer to the buttons. Okay, you always want to be closer to buttons, and that's more for these long type designs. Usually for the squares, you should be pretty good just going kind of centered. All right, and I did make a little cheat sheet here. I have a cheat sheet here, but I do want to make a like an official one to kind of make the numbers uh, more visible right here. Okay, so I'll probably work on that this week and put it also for the download. But anything that I put up for download, I'll make sure I'll announce it on the Facebook. So if you follow the Romero Threads Facebook, okay, anything that we put up, just template wise, stuff that we talk about here, okay, I'll post it up on the Facebook and make an announcement right there. All right, but what this is saying, this cheat sheet, so I just have like a line down here that just represents this here. Okay. Um, just kind of represents this middle part, represents our buttons, and this line is kind of our horizontal line over here. Okay. But let's see if you could see it here. Okay. Oh, too bright. Oh, right there. See? All right. Let's talk about this first number right there, 7 through 9 inches. All right. Let's talk about the min. So that's 7 to 9 inches. What What that's saying, from here, from this collar, all right, so from this upper part all the way down, you should be anywhere between 7 to 9 inches. All right, so if you got your nice handy ruler, all right, all what you're doing is, so 7 to 9 inches, we're dealing with right here, okay? And you're measuring from this, from the seam, okay? So 7 to 9 inches. Let's start that again. All right, now we're here. All right, we're between 7 to 9 inches. All right, I don't know if you can tell, I have a dot right here, and I'll tell you what that dot is right here. Okay, but 7 to 9 inches is telling me that I'm right here. So this being large, 8-inch is kind of like a sweet spot, right? So 7 to 9 inches, you're here. You cut that in half. That's kind of 8-inch for this being a large. Okay, so far, this dot that I have, okay, makes sense. And then, let's see, what else do I got? And then here, see what I got. All right, 4 to 5 inches here. All right, you can barely see it, but all right. So from the button to the right, that's 4 to 5 inches. All right, so actually it's from here. All right, so you can either start here or kind of like by the buttons. All right, but it's 4 to 5 inches right here. All right, so if you go large, you could kind of break that in half. Okay, so that's kind of like the template. So the template, you'll see this everywhere. Okay, if you Google what is the placement of a left chest logo, usually everywhere you see, it's like common practice, 7 to 9 inches. This is for men's shirt. Okay, 7 to 9 inches here, 4 to 5 inches to your right. Okay, that's just common practice, and you're gonna see that everywhere. Now that would require you to make some kind of some judgment call, and I would say your judgment call is kind of being in this sweet spot. So this is your second button with your last button. This is like your sweet spot here. Okay, you definitely don't want to be down here. Okay, I know you've seen some logos where somebody put the wrong placement, and once you leave it down here, all right, it looks like that logo's sagging. Okay, it doesn't look straight. All right, so you really want it nice and centered here. We don't want to be heavy here. If anything, you're always moving towards the center of the shirt. All right, bam. Okay, now let me show you this handy tool. So I've been using this one forever, the embroidery helper. Okay, the embroidery helper. What this does, you just line it up here at the buttons. And if this is a large, all right, if this is a large, bam, that's where I put that dot. So I already have a dot here. That just goes with this polo shirt here. All right, if you have an extra large, you put your dot here. All right, so it's just kind of like subtle differences. Now, I would say there's been times where the embroidery helper was not 100% accurate. Okay, sometimes you got to make a judgment call. Sometimes you got to make a little tweaks. All right, anytime you use any of these embroidery placement, there's also one for kids. Okay, anytime you use one of these, you got to take that information like with a grain of salt. Like don't just put 100% confidence into it, because you got to at least leave a little 1%. Okay, 1% of verification, and then you verify it by just putting your sample printout, or you can actually wear it too. You can wear the polo shirt and kind of have somebody see if it makes sense to put the design there. Okay, so there's been a lot of times where a design kind of looked a little iffy, and we had to wear it to make sure to verify. Okay, and sometimes you'll make a little small tweak of an adjustment. Okay, a lot has to do the shape of the shape of your logo, and whether it's boxed, whether it's rectangled, or if it's a circle. Okay, sometimes you're gonna make little small adjustments that way. All right, so let's see. Bam, bam. This one's for kids. Okay, so I do have all the sizing here. Let's see. Yeah, I have it for men 7 to 9, women 5 to 7 inches. Okay, and then a kid is 5 inch. All right, and then I compared it with different popular settings from different companies. Okay, and pretty much they all match. Okay, they all match. All right, so we got this here. This is all right. So what I want to do, I just want to I want to make it. I want to take it into Illustrator and kind of make a real good cheat sheet just so everybody could have. All right, so that's kind of on my to-do list for today or tomorrow. All right, and then you also have for kids, you have this one here. All right, and I don't have one for women. Okay, this one doesn't come. This is for men. All right. I think some people have used it for women, but it doesn't really work good for women. And let me bring the women polo shirt. All right. So, oh no, thought I had a woman's polo shirt. Oh, okay. I didn't bring the women's polo shirt. But let's see. Bam, bam. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I got the women's polo shirt somewhere else. But let's talk about something of women's polo shirts. All right. Women's polo shirt. So here the size 5 to 7 inches. All right, 5 to 7 inches. And the reason why you want to pick it up, okay, first of all, the shirts are smaller, of course, and you definitely want that logo to be a little higher, right? You don't want that logo to be like right in their bust area. Okay, you want it to be above. Okay, so always go above. Okay, so now you're talking about 5 to 7 inches. Okay, so bam. So we're here, 5 to 7. So we're more above the regular men's shirt. Okay. So I've seen it. All right. I've seen it where somebody has put the logo real low for women, and it definitely does not look right. Okay. Definitely does not look right. So make sure you go up on the women's polos. All right. Now let's talk about kids polos. Okay. And let's actually start talking about the different fabric. All right. So this here, 100% polyester. Okay. You know it's 100% polyester because it has a lot of stretch. Okay, anytime you get a good stretch, you know you're dealing with polyester. Okay, so let's see. Let's read the ticket here. Yep, 100% polyester here. Gildan. Okay, this is a good one. This one has lasted the laundry test. So you've seen if you've seen if you've seen that video that we made regarding school embroidery. Okay, so we did use this polo shirt, and let me just show you. For that video, we made a shirt for my daughter, and I'm pretty sure that that video is almost like a year old already, or maybe more. Okay, but this is still the shirt, and it's taken like numerous as washes. All right, so let's see. Let me zoom in right here. All right, that's all I could go. All right, so it's still holding up good. Okay, still holding up good. So that's always the ultimate test is the laundry test. Okay, so uh, I'm gonna also link all our of our polo shirts, all those shirts that we've done regarding polos. Okay, so this one here, all right. So we had tender touch on it, so it's still holding off. All right, so tender touch for those who know, who work with children's clothes. Okay, that's just to protect the stitches from the kid's skin. All right. So here we used like all of our polo shirts. Okay. So when it comes time for backing, of course you have so many different options. Okay, but we like this one. All right. This is the performance one. Performance stitch, performance backing. All right. And if you notice, it has like a crisscross kind of effect. Okay. Crisscross type effect. Yeah, you can see a bit. Now let me compare that with just regular cutaway. Okay, hold on. Let me grab some regular cutaway. And usually, if you're dealing with a just a regular type polo shirt, you can get you cutaway, just regular. Hold on. All right, this is your regular cutaway. Then this is our performance. All right, so this is the performance one. All right, so we've had good success, as you can see here. All right, the stitches are still holding good, even after like a year of being laundered. All right, so uh, the thing with backing with polo shirts, okay, different people have different suggestions and they have different brands or different types of cutaway. A lot has to do with the design. So this design, very basic, it's not very dense. Okay, so we're good with that. Sometimes if you're the more designs, the more stitches you have, the more cutaway you might require. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking of backing. Okay, so this here, 100% polyester, very stretchy. Okay, you gotta keep in mind the backing, the cutaway. All right, now let me show you a 100% cotton. Okay, so when we're dealing with 100% cotton, so this is the Port Authority. Okay, now you're dealing with cotton. Okay, a little bit more. So if you look at, let's see if I can see. Okay, very, you can feel it. It's very heavy texture. Okay, very texture, heavy in the texture. All right, it's not like polyester where polyester is just nice and smooth. This is very heavy. Okay, so this is more like um, business type. Okay, more formal type business. Now let's talk about cotton. Okay, because cotton is a very special garment you got to think about. Okay, so let me kind of make space right here. All right, hold on. Let's go. Let's go doubles. Uh-oh. All right, let's talk about cotton real quick. Okay, let me turn off this light for a bit because this is important. All right, thing with cotton. All right, good, good. All right, the thing with cotton. Okay, when we're dealing with cotton, the biggest thing about cotton is shrinks. All right, it shrinks. So you got to be very, very careful on how you treat your garment. So a lot of times, what you're gonna see a lot is a customer is gonna order their cotton, 100% cotton shirt, or even a blended cotton shirt, right? They're gonna order a cotton shirt. You're gonna do the perfect embroidery, but they're not going to do something correct. All right, what they're not gonna do, they're not gonna laundry it correct, and they're gonna put it in the laundry on full max on the dryer. All right. And what happens is if you put it on high on the dryer, this goes with a lot of garments, right? This is a big problem that happens. What happens is that 100% cotton, right? It's going to shrink. It's going to shrink. And our thread, which is made out of polyester, those don't shrink. Okay. Those are going to stay, they're going to keep their size and they're going to keep their structure. So if your shirt shrinks, but your threads stay the same, all of a sudden you got puckering. Okay, you're gonna have the worst type of puckering if that kind of happens. Okay, so if you are selling cotton blend or a cotton shirt, you gotta make sure you let the customer know. Okay, you gotta make sure you let them know. Light, very light in the dryer, or even air dry. Okay, you want to make sure that those stitches, they don't kind of change with the fabric that they're on. Okay, that's really like the biggest one there. Okay, that's the big thing there with cotton. Okay, you'll see it a lot of times where somebody talks about, hey, my customer loved it, put it in the dryer, and now it looks like, right, it looks like crap. Okay, but one thing that you can always do, you can always remind them, hey, light dryer slash maybe air dry, or always iron, right? Always iron it. Worst case scenario, if your customer is experiencing some type of puckering where it wasn't puckering, right, when it happened, they can always iron it. Okay, because sometimes it's not a matter of that it's puckering, it's just that the shirt is wrinkled. Okay, so Bar put an excellent comment here. I sent care directions with all embroidered items. Not that they will follow them, but I have done my informational part. All right, very important, very important. And with that also, you have to do a laundry test too. So whatever item you're doing, run a test. That way, your instructions, all right, whatever instructions you're giving, um, actually works. All right, so you definitely want to send care directions. All right, let them know. All right. Let's see. Bam, bam. We got mother. I'm glad you record these. I've missed the live, but thankful I can watch them there. Yep. Uh, Lynette, I'll have to go. I'll watch the replay. All right, all good. Okay, these replays are here. Um, yes, definitely. I even go back. I like to rewatch them and see just to make the future shows even better and better and better, more efficient. Okay, so good stuff. All right. Let's see, Allison. When it says placement down 9 inch from shoulder, do they mean from the top of the design or the center of the center of the design? Okay, center of the design. And the thing is, that's just a general rule. Okay, don't ever take that as this is gonna be 100% sure. That's why it's important to have the templates, just so you can have an actual visual of how it's supposed to look. Okay, and yes, Maxine, instructions should say to iron on the back, not directly on the thread. Okay, very good. So good practice is to turn your shirt inside out, right, and iron them like that. And be careful on putting it too high of a setting on your iron. All right, bam, bam. All right, good stuff. All right, let's continue here. Let me go back on the, see if I got more stuff here. So I want to show you the different type of polo shirts that we got, or that you'll see. All right, so this here, 100% cotton, and yes, so when you look at the here, so you'll read. Hold on. Yeah, 100% cotton, and then you got to get familiar with these symbols right here. Okay, so it's telling you don't iron it. Okay, but let's see, machine wash cold. Okay, because if you wash it warm, of course it's going to shrink. All right, light colors, fabric softener. Do not use fabric softener. All right, because fabric softener is going to kind of take away the texture a little bit. That's what it recommends. Uh, tumble dry low and cool iron if necessary. All right, so just make sure whatever product you're embroidering on, you read the labels and advise the customer. Even though you would think they know, just do it as a reminder. Okay, and then like Barb said, you can even send instructions on how to go about taking care of their garment. But the big thing there is just the drying portion. The drying will really make it shrink. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, we got. Let's see, we got this one. This shirt here. This one's from SNS. This is an Augusta. Okay. So this one here, if we look at it, of course, 100% polyester. Okay, and 100% polyester. Yeah. So this one, very stretchy. All right, very stretchy. And something that you'll see a lot is the moisture wickering features that a lot of them have. Okay, so that's kind of like the big one, the big feature there, right? This the moist wickering, right? That's just added features onto the polo shirt. Okay, of course, adding value to that polo shirt. So usually, big on the Nike, you'll see those, and then the prices just kind of go up. All right, but those are a fan favorite, especially for the polo, uh, especially for the golfing community. All right, you're gonna deal with moisture wickering and all that stuff. All right, okay, and let me show you one more here. Okay, so this one here, all right, I kind of blocked out some of the logos. I'm using this one now as just as a sample. Okay, but I did sample out our Romero Threads logo here. All right, but this one here, fan favorite. Okay, Adidas. I think golf wise, to me is my best one. Okay, especially if you're doing golf events. All right, Adidas is number one on that one. But when you're dealing with this, you cannot get more silky than this type of garment right here. Okay, it don't matter what it is. Okay, this fabric here does not lay flat. Okay, you got to kind of like flatten it out. All right, this is the one. Okay, this is the one. If you do get a polo shirt like this is the one where you want to test out your design. Okay, you want to test out your designs. Make sure whatever backing you're going with. Okay, this is the one where we really, when we work with Adidas, this is where we really found this one to work. All right, which is our performance. Okay, I feel like this performance backing was created for stuff like this. All right, for this type of material. Okay, so as you can see, like you can see it through the camera, it's very shiny. All right, does not lay flat. All right, it's not like cotton. Cotton, you just kind of do this and it flans out. Not this one. All right. Um, and then what I would recommend if you got like a big project like this, just buy an extra one and just use it as your sample pack. All right. So now I just throw logos on this. If I'm doing something similar, okay, I just throw logos on it now and test certain items. All right. But good one to have. So if you do go Adidas, that's SNS. We use SNS for Adidas. All right. All right. Now, if you have a, let's say you have a polo shirt that something happened to it, right? What I like to do, I use those polo shirts. I cut them. All right. I cut the polo shirts and then I use it as a sample. All right. Because a logo might look perfect on a just on a regular piece of twill, but if you're doing your stitch outs or your practice logos on an actual garment, all right, you're more likely for the next time you do that same garment for your logos to come out perfect. All right. So the way I like to do it, I just like to cut the back side, front side. And now we have a bunch of these, all right? A bunch of these samples that we use just to do our sample stitch outs. All right. Very useful, right? So anytime you got a big project and you can order a couple more garments, all right, I would highly recommend that. Even not only for that project, but also for your future projects. In case you have a design where you're kind of unsure if that design is going to hold well on that garment, all right, you want to get some extra ones. All right, let's see. Bam, bam. All right, good stuff. All right, and then let me just kind of show you this other thing here. Okay, of course, we're all familiar with our catalogs. Okay, so this is the Sanmar catalog. This here kind of has a description, pretty much everything on the website, right? Well, a lot of the popular stuff on the website. So just a good way to educate yourself, educate your customer, and just kind of see the difference between different garments. So sometimes on the website, it takes a while from clicking to clicking. Here, okay, here you're just scrolling through the pages, and you could see side by side the difference between some of the garments. All right. So of course, have your have whatever vendor you use. Okay. Uh, Pretty much all the vendors they send out yearly, right? This is a pretty old one, 2021. Okay. Um, so make sure you get your up to date one just so you could kind of read through it and, of course, educate yourself. But if your customer has a question, you could kind of refer them to the catalogs too. All right. So good stuff there. Let's see. All right. I got some other printouts that I got right here. Okay. So this here, these were the product description. So I would recommend, right, whatever product. This is for the Adidas blue shirt that I just showed you. Okay, so this one has it, the sizing. It has it in body length, chest circumference, sleeve length. Okay, so the more I would say, the more upscale that you go, the more information they give you within sizing. Okay, if you go with something very basic, okay, they're just gonna tell you kind of like circumference, all right? But usually it's a safe size to go with. Okay, a lot of times these are more one size fits most type stuff. Once you go with the more advanced stuff, okay, especially Adidas Golf, okay, they like to go fitted. So always be sure that your customer knows what he's ordering, that he's sizing, that customer is sizing themselves up according to the product description, right? Especially with the more golf um, classic type look. Right, then these are for Nikes and all that. All right, so good stuff to have all your information there, just so if a customer ask a question, right, you have it available to you. All right, so this one right here was part of the thumbnail. I'll post this also on the free download. All right, I'll kind of fix up this drawing too, but this is just like an overview for men. This is the sizing for women sizing. All right, we have this one, very convenient, that we talked about. All right, and then we got that. Cool, cool. And then you have like your pencil to kind of mark your water soluble. This is a white chalk pencil, so that's what I use for that. All right, cool. All right, so next item on the to-do list, we're gonna actually embroider on a polo shirt. All right, so let me bring up. So if you follow this channel, you already know how much of a Mighty Hoop fan I am. Okay, so of course, let me go ahead, bring out the station. Okay, so all right, hold on. Let's fix this a bit. Hold on. Let me just change angles of the camera. Bam, bam. All right. All right, cool. We got a good view right there. All right. If you got any questions, let me know. Bam, bam. And then Audrey, is it the same for vinyl? Air dry is it's the same for vinyl. Air dry is preferred. Yeah, good stuff. All right, we got Yamaki. Good afternoon, Romero, and everyone here. Sorry, it's late. I'm in France, 4 p.m. All right, good afternoon. It's morning time here. Would a Audrey, would a vinyl logo be better on a polyester? All right. I know nothing about vinyl. Okay, I don't deal with vinyl. I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't like vinyl on a polo shirt. I don't really think that that goes together. Okay, I think embroidery would easily look way better than vinyl. But I think I have seen vinyl on a polo on a polyester. Okay, so it might work. Okay. Uh, Mother, what is the name of your Facebook group? I don't have a Facebook group, but I have a Facebook page. So my page is Romero Threads. I'm tempted to start a Facebook group, but it looks like it's time consuming, and time is kind of scarce right now. All right, so all right, good question here. I'm having issues with pricing polos. I don't know if I'm charging too much or too low. All right, so step number one, right, on getting your pricing. How much are you? How much is your expense? All right, you better at the very minimum be making your money back, right? At the very minimum. Worst case scenario, you're breaking even. All right. But you definitely don't want to just break even. Okay. But that's worst case scenario is you're breaking even. Really worst case scenario is you're losing money. So you definitely need to add up all your expenses. So everything that you bought to create that garment, you definitely need to know that price and then charge accordingly. Okay. Uh, some some uh, some designs are easier than others. All right. Usually, what you can do. Okay, I'm gonna show you the secret sauce that we use. Okay, we charge retail. So whatever polo shirt, you have the retail price and then you have the vendor price. Okay, we charge retail for so and then you charge on the embroidery. Okay, so you're making both on on the garment and on the embroidery. Okay, you cannot go wrong if you go that way. All right, what you don't want to do. Okay, what you don't want to do is price below retail and then charge a very cheap price on the embroidery because you're gonna easily lose. All right. Even though you're making money on the garment, that's still paying for some of the expenses that came to create the equipment. All right. So don't always think just because you're charging on top of what you're paying for, like the retail price. Don't think all that money is going to you because you still have expenses to go with. All right. So it's always better to charge higher than lower because you will burn out if you're not making a profit. Okay. So burnout right now is always a big topic. If you find yourself burning out, most likely is you're undercharging because when you're pricing correctly, okay, the more business you get, for some reason, the more energy you get. And it's the opposite when you're undercharging. Okay, the more work you do, the more you burn out. All right. All right. All right. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. Okay, so I got here. So, like I said, my most popular shirt here, the Port Authority one. Okay, I got like a bunch of these. I actually got to make another run with these. I'm gonna see the inventory, see where we're at with that. All right. Uh, so the Hoopmaster station. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the Hoopmaster station. You have them. Okay. Um, I like it because it provides consistency. All right. All my polo shirts all look the same. I don't have to worry about any inconsistencies. I know whatever we line up in the beginning is what we're gonna get throughout the whole project. All right. So usually my suite number for size large. All right. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's break this down a bit. All right, because I did add this here. This is the station extender. So usually it's like this. Okay. Usually it's like this. This works perfectly fine. Okay. It works perfectly fine. But of course, I'm always about making life better. All right. This is still fine. You could easily line it up right here with no problem. Okay. But I like to add this extender. And it also helps. So you got like your two bigger holes here. It goes there. All right. And it's also useful, especially if you're doing a lot of double X, uh, XL and double XLs. Okay. You're definitely going to need that. All right. And all it does is just, it, it extends the shoulders a bit. So when you put this through, okay, you kind of see that instantly. Right. It just makes it go a little, right. The shoulders go up a little bit more. All right. For here, now there's always recommended, they say, hey, what number should I use for large? Okay. There's no number that's perfect for every size. Okay. You have to kind of gauge what number fits yours. Okay. So for example, let me just pick a random number right here. Okay. 11, which I know definitely would not be good. Right. But let's say you're trying to find a number, right? All you have to do is gauge it. Okay. You kind of know, this is our middle part. This was kind of like our sweet spot that I was talking about. Okay. So we're kind of like a little too high for that sweet spot, right? So that's what I mean when we're gauging it. You kind of want to see exactly where you want to go. So you don't want to base everything off one number. It's like, well, I have to be at that number. It has to be that number, right? Everything is all gauging it. So here, you kind of line it up. So usually for large, it is 26. Okay. I'm kind of close to the buttons here, so I'm just going to move it a little to the left. All right. Bam, bam. All right. And then all you're doing is lining up these seams right here. All right. Bam, bam. All right. All right. Before I even hoop it up, let me just make my little dot. So I need my little center point. All right. So I got different water soluble. I have this one. And I got this one. And then I got a blue one. Oh, yeah. This one here. All right. So I just use this one here. So with these Port Authority, I know these Port Authority, they go good with my embroidery helper. All right, so I just line up the buttons. It's a size large. Size large, so I'm just gonna put a little tap. Okay. So I got my little blue. I don't know if you can see it. Somewhere there. All right. Bam. Put this guy back. All right. And if you're doing left chest logos, all right, then you already have this 5.5 here. This just makes life automatic. I'm all about automatic life. Okay, so I should be good here. So we're just using 2-piece. I can use 2 pieces of cutaway like this, just a regular flat one. But really, I've been using these for the longest, and I'm just used to them like that. But you could actually just use regular cutaway. All right. All right. Just make sure it kind of everything is laying flat. And when you're in production mode, you're just doing this like automatic. Okay. What I like to do everything in one shot. So I like to center my dots. So I'll line up all my polo shirts and center my dots, stack that up, okay, put that to the side and have everything, and then start doing my my hooping part. Okay, that way all my sizes, they're already ready to go. Okay, so once you got that, bam, look straight. Okay, notch always facing there. I like to have these buttons. Okay, I like to have my button at this point, just so that way I know that I'm straight. Okay. Bam, bam. And then my dot is right here. Okay. I could go a little bit above because I'm like gauging it. Looks like I'm a little low. So you could change it here. Okay. All right, bam. Right there at the center. I could even move it one to the right, but I'm good here. Okay. Let me see if it looks straight right there. Yep. So it looks straight right there. And I'm just gauging this line here. I'm gauging this line. I'm gauging my seams up here. Okay. And then I'm making sure this dot that I have here is fairly close to this center line here and this center line that I have here. All right. Once you're good, you just snap that, pull it out. And then here, I unbutton it. So I'll unbutton this just so it could fit when I place it on the machine. All right. Cool, cool. All right. Let me see if there's any questions so far. If anybody has any questions on hooping or anything. I try not to like miss a step, but usually some stuff is so like you think it's automatic, so you don't really mention certain stuff. All right, Donovan, can I use performance backing for all my polos? All right, I do. I use it for the most part, at least for 99% of all my polos. I use performance backing. Okay, so yep. All right, let's see. Uh, if anybody, let's see. Allison, would you use 2 squares of performance backing? Yeah, I use two. I use two. So you can mix it up. You can mix them up. You could put a performance backing with a regular cutaway. Some people add an extra tearaway, like they sandwich uh, the the cutaway. Okay, so you could have different combinations, and a lot of these combinations. So you'll hear about different combination, right? But the only way you know if it works is to actually test it out. Okay, but from the time I got the two performance backaway performance cutaway. Okay, that's kind of like my sweet spot right there. Okay, all right. Good morning, Ride Beats. All right. Bam, bam. What kind of what kind of backings did you just use? That was the performance backing. I'll put all the description down in the link. All right. Just give it like 2 hours after we go off. Um, after we're done. Okay. I'm gonna put as much information. All right. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, appreciate that. Keep them coming every week. Okay. Where do you purchase your performance backing? AllStitch. All right. I get them on AllStitch, but you could get them anywhere. Okay. Every AllStitch, United Threads, Gnold. All right. Everywhere. All the more popular places that you go. But usually AllStitch, you should be good. All right. Let's put this on the machine right now. Let me see if I go. Bam. Let me just change camera. Actually, let me go with the GoPro. I got the GoPro hanging out right here. All right, so actually let me let me tell you what I'm about to stitch. I'm gonna stitch out. Hold on, let me turn on this GoPro. It's not turning on. All right, hold on while I try to fix this. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Oh, actually, that's what I had the computer up. Hold on. Forgot to show you what I'm about to stitch. Mm, mm, mm. Uh, hold on. Oh, I know why. All right, hold on. Let me turn on the laptop. All right, bam, bam. All right, let me see if I forgot any questions. All right, looks like we're good. Bam, bam. All right, let me just log in my computer. All right, this is what we're gonna embroider, right? So what I have, the patch. So my actual patch, instead of embroidering the patch on the as a patch, I'm going to go directly. All right, I'm gonna go directly on the polo shirt. So this is the patch that I have. Okay. Um. Oh, hold on. Wrong screen. All right, bam. All right, we kind of. All right, everybody see that? All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, so this is the patch that I have right now. Okay, so instead of putting it on the patch, I'm just gonna put it directly on the polo. Okay, let's analyze this a bit. I'm all about analyzing what we're doing. Okay, so um, let's talk about the text first. Okay, let's minimize everything, hide others. All right, look at how the text looks, right? So there was all these hiding pieces back there. All right, so this is how it stitches out. So I'm gonna stitch everything out in one shot. So I'm not gonna stop the machine. So it does straight. It's gonna jump, goes through here. It's gonna do this. Actually, there's a jump right here. I could have fixed that. All right. Oh, actually, I wanted to. Yeah. But all right. There's actually some jumpers that I had changed, but I hadn't changed. But as you can see, everything is happening in one shot. Then I have a travel here, and it's going to continue the embroidery school. All right. So that's behind the scenes. That's how it looks behind the scenes. All right. Unhide all. But then a lot of those running stitches. Okay. Actually, I feel like my design just changed. All right. But it's all good. It still works. Okay. And then here, so it's going to start doing the red first. It's going to do the text. And let's measure our text. All right. I believe it's a 7 millimeters. All right. So a little above, almost right under 8 millimeters. So we're going good. This is actually text right here. So if you look at it, this is the world famous Helvetica. Okay. Very popular font that I like to use. One of my favorite ones. Okay, so underlay, you could see that I only have a run stitch. Okay, so in order to have a nice clean look, I'm going to use a 60 weight thread here with a 65 needle. All right, so that's a 65 needle with 60 weight on the text. All right, I like any type of text like this. The 65 thread gives it a very nice crisp look. Then here, the stand stitch, let's see, bam, this final one, 3.8 inches. All right, cool, cool. All right, this is a good question right here. Do you tender touch adult polos or children only? Only for children. For adults, I don't really put tender touch unless it's it's. I haven't had it as a. I haven't had it requested. For kids, we just put it on. Even if it's not requested, we just put it on. All right, cool, cool. All right, so that's what we're gonna embroider right now. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions here. So let's look at our stitch. We're at 6,298, so 6,300 stitches. So that's kind of like sweet spot, right? Our sweet spot is between 3 to 10,000. Like that's That's the stitch count that I like to operate. Okay, easy day right there. You're not worrying about heavy stitches on the polo, which could cause puckering and all that ugly stuff that we normally see with a lot of polo shirts. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's stitch this out. Let me see. Bam. All right, is that the GoPro? Oh, that ain't the GoPro. Actually, let me see if I could turn on this go. Sometimes cameras don't like to turn on when you want them to turn on. All right, that's fine. We don't need a GoPro. All right, let's go with this camera here. All right, we're looking good there. Bam, bam. Some people, I've seen some people use water soluble. They, for some reason, it's highly. I've seen it mentioned, highly mentioned. I've never put water soluble on a polo shirt. All right, so if anybody has, you could share your experience. All right, of course, we always trace. All right, I always trace 3 times. I always just do that first one. Now I'm gonna center it. All right, bam, right here. That center. Bam, bam, then center it and trace it again. All right, cool. See if I can zoom out a little or zoom in. See if we could get as close as possible. Let me see how close I could zoom in, just so you can see details. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me just fix this camera for a bit, just to give you close front row seats. All right, that's good right there. See? Yeah, all right, looks like we're good. All right, so let's see, good center. Bam. All right, so we're going, we have 3 different colors. We have the red, that's our 40 weight. We have our second one, that's gonna be our 60 weight. So that's our black, okay? So that's gonna be with the small needle with the 65.9. And our last one, the sand stitch, that's gonna just be a regular 75. All right, so hold on, just in case. All right, trace, bam, we're good. And push start. All right, let me see. Oh, all right, we're looking good right there. Kind of go under this camera. Oh, all right, let me see. Oh, it's kind of like not focused right there. Zoom out a little. All right, it's kind of not focused. All right, if you got any questions, let me know. See, zooming right there. That's my flat machine. Okay. Uh, bam. All right, so right now it's just doing that middle part. Um, I've been doing a lot of stitch outs here just to make sure. I'm gonna use this as a template just to make a for different companies to have the same template where I have the text going around and their emblem in the middle. So this is gonna be my template that I'm going to use. I just gotta change. I just gotta change the wording for whatever that company needs. Right. So this is the text. This is the 65/9 needle with the 60 weight thread. Okay. Um, like I said before, the 65 needle gives you a nice, clean, fresh look. This whole text, the top and the bottom, it's all gonna be one run. So I'm gonna cut the stitches afterwards. I'm not gonna let the machine stop. I don't really like making the machine stop with text because that's where things starts happening, right? Like bad things happen with the text when your machine stops, starts, stops, starts. So I just like it to run all in one shot whenever possible, whenever it's possible. Okay? It's not always possible. All right, actually, I'm gonna have to change the battery on this camera. Hold on, give me 1 sec. All right, give me 1 sec. Let me change the battery on this camera. All right, hold on. Ah, all right, cool. All right, getting my workout done right here. Bam, bam. All right, we got Alina. How would you rewind when the bobbin runs out? All right, so when the bobbin runs out, it just stops, right? It just stops, and then it stitches like a couple X amount of stitches ahead, so you lose some stitch. You would stop it. Let me see what's the button. You would just rewind it. Okay, you rewind it. And you got to push that red switch. I'll show you that red switch. You got to make sure that red light comes back on. So you rewind it to where you want it to start, and you flip the switch. It doesn't have the switch doesn't have a name, but it's next to your number one knob, the tension knob. You see that switch? You put it down, put it up, and then it should be colored red, and then it'll start to where you rewind it. All right. William Stewart, what headset are you using? JLab. This is just one that I found on at Best Buy's. Pretty good though. Pretty good headset. All right, Allison, what speed? Okay, so when I go text, especially thin, small, detailed type text, I'm taking it real slow right now. All right. So right now, 550. Okay, 550. But I also go slow right now just because when when you're going live on YouTube, stuff starts happening, right? So I just take it an extra slower. But usually I'm anywhere between 700 of speed usually on my stuff. On hats, I kind of go a little slower. Okay. All right. Good stuff, Audrey. I use water soluble on fluffy towels and it works great. Yeah, yeah. So good. Very popular place to use water soluble towels. Works out great. On a small design logo, it gets a little mess. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I hate about water soluble is the cleanup. That's why I remember one time we had a big order and we used water soluble throughout the order, and it's just the cleanup took most of the time and it's not fun. So I kind of found different ways to go and not use water soluble. Thanks. It beeps when I do that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it beeps. But yeah, that's you rewind it, you push, you let that red light come on, and then you're ready to go back and do it. So that's a very yeah good question because you're gonna see that a lot. You're gonna have to rewind a lot. Sometimes when a bobbin gets pretty low and I'm in a, I just throw out like I don't let it run, but of course you can't babysit the bobbin always. So sometimes yeah, you just rewind. I don't like to rewind also detail work or letters because you could kind of tell that you did a bobbin change. Sometimes you could tell that you did a bobbin change. Or on tatami stitch, that's a time where I hate uh, losing my bobbin or running out of bobbin in the middle of a tatami stitch because for some reason you could tell at that very spot you changed out a bobbin. All right. So if I'm doing tatami stitches, I'm checking that bobbin because I don't want the machine to stop and start beeping. All right. So right now this is just kind of like this is just a typical type of polo shirt that you're gonna see where it's text and and an emblem. All right. The sand stitch is gonna hide that line, that walking stitch that I put. All right. So let's talk about underlay that I have on this text. Underlay. So like how I showed you, I just had a I just have a center run. I don't like to put too much underlay on little small detailed text. Uh, Puckering wise, like sometimes if you see puckering, I've noticed puckering like on sharp object on sharp designs. For example, like a star. If you put a star on a polo, I've noticed that it likes to pucker there. So what I like to do when I'm cutting the cutaway, like at a star or at a pointy kind of piece of the design, I like to make sure that cutaway I cut it rounded. I don't like to do cut sharp cuts on the cutaway. Just kind of little small details that I think about when just to avoid puckering. This type of shirt. So this is a blended. Let me see. Let me give you the description on this shirt here. This one here has here. Let me go put the screen on here. So it's equivalent to this darker one. All right, but 60/40. All right, 60/40 is like my sweet spot for polo shirts. Okay, because it has good strength. It's not too stretchy, so it's like a happy medium between the cotton and the polyester. All right, so it has a good base. So definitely, you're not really worrying about puckering with this type of shirt. Okay, you're really worrying about puckering with your 100% polyesters, and that's where your backing really plays a role. Okay, even though I did use performance backing here, I could have got away with it just with regular type backing. All right, so right here is just doing that embroidery school. Okay, so it's gonna be the same as my patch that I did. All right. This is kind of like the design I'm gonna run with this year. I'm gonna run with because I want to do custom. This is my like I'm gonna share my goal right now, right? My goal is to have companies just put their custom name, top, bottom. Give me your give me your text for the top, the bottom, and then send me your emblem. Okay, and this is gonna be my template. Okay, so I've done a bunch of sample runs with different type of polo shirts, and really like just badges in general. It's very popular type badge where you have the name of the company on the top, and then the information like what it does down in the bottom with the emblem in the middle. Okay, I think you cannot get more simple than that. All right, so my goal is to find companies that are looking for that type of design and then run with that. Once I get that company, right? Once you get that first company, then you kind of build on that because now you're doing all their merch and all their hopefully all their uniforms for the company. All right, all right. What's up, A Dub? Great looking design. Appreciate that. All right, appreciate that. Your stuff is always quality. All right, we got morning, Carlos. Good morning. Uh, Alina missed the beginning of the video. Will it be on YouTube? Yes, this will be on the replay, right? I got on my I make sure all the videos are on the replay and I keep the chat just like that if there's any questions or any comments that kind of I missed, all right? People could go back and review it. All right. So of course, that's the best beep sound in the world when your product's done. All right. Let's take a look at it. Of course, this is like we're almost done, right? We're almost done, but we're not celebrating yet because we actually have to do the most important part, which is the detailed work. All right, hold on, let me fix this. Let me get situated right here. All right. All right, let's look at this. We get a good angle right here. All right, so we have a couple jump stitches that I got to cut. All right, hold on. Let me get an even better angle. Mm-mm. Hold on. Let me just turn this camera. All right. All right, let me see if I could zoom in because it's all about the details right now. All right. Check this out. All right, so you see? Yep. Looking super clean right here. Text came out perfect. So these are just jump stitches that I'm going to cut afterwards. All right. So I did all the text. So I started on the Romero. I did all the text. And then I put a travel stitch, which is now hiding under the sand stitch. I did that travel stitch. And then I jumped to the E. Okay. And I made it long enough so it could be easily cut down here. Then I completed the embroidery school. All right. So one thing when I'm dealing with fine text or fine details, I don't want the machine to stop because funny stuff happens when the machine stops, has to tie out, tie in. Okay. We start getting random stuff. So when possible, I just include jump stitches because to me to cut these jump stitches is real quick. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's cut this water soluble. Let me kind of move. All right, let me get some space right here. All right, and believe it or not, the way you cut your backing can also prevent puckering. Okay, so the backing is helping for future puckering, because maybe you don't have puckering right now, but like I said, you're like a customer uh, dries it too high. Okay, you can still kind of eliminate puckering just by the way you cut your backing. All right. So what you don't want to do, you don't want to remove this backing 100%. Like you don't want to cut tight on it. Usually the general rule is 1/4 inch, okay, from the edge and rounded. Okay. Even though this is a rounded design, I don't really have to worry about sharp corners. But sometimes you'll have sharp corners or you'll have a square. What I recommend is to round your cuts. Okay. And always be careful. You don't want to cut your garment, which has happened in the past. Okay. I want to get clean cut, clean rounded cut. All right. So it's like a little bigger than a quarter. But like I said, that's why I like this polo shirt because it's a little thick. Okay. It's a little thick. It has a little bit more play. When you're dealing with the more thinner, 100% polyester, now you got to be more careful. That's when I sit down and I do my cuts. Right now, I could just stand up and like with one eye, I'm kind of like cutting it. All right, let's check this out. All right, look at that. So right here, remember that sweet spot that we talked about? All right, see? And then just to, I know I always talk about this, but how to go about cutting jump stitches. All right. Mm. All right, the way I like to cut my jump stitches. Bam, bam. Tweezers, pull it. Okay. Usually I cut it when it's still in the hoop because the shirt's nice and tight. But of course, you could still cut it right now. All right. So I purposely make these jump stitches bigger than what they should be, just so it's easier to cut it. Okay. You can make them smaller, but if you make them a little bigger, it's easier to catch. Bam, bam. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4. Then with the tweezers and these just cut very fine. All right. Right here. All right. So some people like to add cuts, some people don't. It's just a preference. All right. So whatever your preference is. And all right. Let's get a good zoom right here. All right. So looks like zero puckering. All right. Of course, it's rounded, so it's least likely to pucker, but there's always still possibility puckering. So let me get as close as possible. All right, hold on. Let me add some more light. Yeah, so my goal is to make these logo types, to make them customizable, so any company can put their company name, their logo, all right, and it could be on a polo shirt or on a patch. All right, so that's kind of like the goal that I'm going with right now. Something very basic. So I like basic. I think when embroidery becomes basic, it's like the company shines, like the logo shines. All right, let's see. All right. Cool. So that's looking good. Let me zoom out. Oh, that was zooming in. Hold on. All right, good stuff. All right. Let me know if you got any questions. Looks good. Bam, bam. All right, let me hit this light. All right. All right, good stuff right there. All right, good stuff. I like that. I like how it looks. Okay, so I'm gonna see. I'm gonna compare it a little later. I'm gonna compare the patch versus the actual embroidery. And what I want to do when I do talk to some of these companies, I want to show them like the difference. Like, okay, this is a polo shirt with a patch versus this is a polo shirt just embroidered on, right? So it's always good to have samples when you're talking to these customers. So uh, I always like to come prepared anytime I'm ready to talk to anybody. Okay, because you should easily be able to close any meeting that you have. Because if you have product in hand, all right, it should be easy day. All right, all right. Let's see, Audrey. Worry about cutting jump stitches. Are there some that should not be cut? Uh, you just have to verify that they tied out and they tied in wherever you're cutting. Okay, so there's a knot wherever you're cutting in between. Okay, so if you're cutting a line between stitch and stitch, you tied out, jumped, you tied in. Because if you cut a jump stitch, or if you cut a stitch and it didn't tie in, what's gonna happen is maybe not at that exact moment, but you're gonna have unraveling. Okay, and usually unraveling happens during wash. When the customer washes their garment, the thread, especially text, sand stitches, they're gonna start unraveling and it's not gonna look good. So just verify that you have a tie-in, tie-offs. All right, all right. We got Suave, two goats in here with A Dove. All right, yeah, appreciate that. All right. Where do we go for the handouts? I'm gonna have the downloads later today. So some of the stuff that we talked about, and then that I do want to make that template with the full sizing, the template on the sizing on all that. Right now, I just have notes. It's like chicken scratch. Like the information is there. I just gotta kind of like clean it up, fluff it up, and make it look real nice, and then I'll put it out. So that's gonna be my goal for the week. But I do have some stuff that I'm gonna post it on the description here. All right, a lot of good stuff uh, that I use. Okay, that I use. A lot of stuff I use it, and I don't know how useful it is until I kind of explain it to somebody, and they're like, "Oh wow, you should make like something official, right? To so people can use it." So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to create some templates so you guys could use it when you're checking your designs. All right, so give me by like the end of the day to put some stuff here. And as I'm creating things, I'll be adding templates to like previous um, Saturday morning classes. But if I do add some new items to certain description, I'll make sure to update it on the Facebook. All right. All right. Let me see if I'm missing any question. All right. All right. We got Donald Newman. Good morning. Good morning. All right. All right. Appreciate that. Looks great. Yeah, it looks. I think it looks pretty good. I like clean text. That's why anytime I'm going with text, I like to go 65 9 needle. All right. Let's see this question here. VL, I received a logo with 30,000 stitches that is requested on a polo. Any advice to prevent? All right. All right. 30,000. You're like in no man's land right there. All right. You're like in territory that you don't want to be at. 30,000 stitches is a lot of stitches, all right? What's going to happen, even if you do it perfectly, if everything is perfect, you might get sag, right? That logo might start falling forward. If they have a baggy shirt, okay, it definitely might start sagging, all right? And usually people have baggy shirts, right? Um, that just might be, you're going to have to test it out. Now, the thing is, 30,000 stitches, even a stitch out, even a test out is going to take a while. So you got to make sure, okay, you got to make sure you're pricing accordingly, because that's going to be a very time consuming, not only to complete it, but just to even start that project, just so you know that design. And what happens is you don't always get it perfect on the first design. Okay. So for 30,000 stitches, puckering is highly will highly happen. Most likely it is going to happen. And it all depends what weight polo shirt you have. You might have to go with the heaviest type of polo shirt. Okay, so right here you're gonna have to you're gonna have to ask a lot of questions, and you definitely want to see how many color changes and all that. But yeah, 30,000 is crazy. You might want to, as a possible recommendation, turn it into a stitch and then either sew it onto the polo shirt or heat press it onto a polo shirt. All right, so some stuff to think about. All right, good morning, Sarah. All right. Uh, Najeen, great looking design. Ever, you are a great instructor. As always, thank you for. Oh, I appreciate that. All right, your logo is sweet, easy to read. Yep. So when I first started embroidery, okay, I wanted the most complicated artwork possible, because I thought if you can do complicated stuff, right, you could which of course you can, right? If you can do the complicated stuff, right, you can pretty much do everything, right? But believe it or not, if you're here to make money, if you have an embroidery shop to make money, simple, okay, simple design is where the profit's at. The profit is not at the most craziest looking designs, because businesses, especially corporate businesses, simple type businesses, their logos are very simple. All right. The reason why their logo is so simple, because you only get a quick second to see a logo or to read a name. If you have all sorts of crazy stuff happening, it's not really there's not much brand recognition right there. Okay, so when you're dealing with good customers, right, or not good customers, but businesses that are all about businesses, 100% business, you're dealing with slash corporate America, right? You're dealing with the most simple logos that you have, right? It's kind of like make sure, right, make sure any type of designs, your text is always as sharp as can be. Everything else will follow. Okay, everything else will follow. All right. So yeah, uh, I transitioned from super crazy, outrageous type designs that were taking 2 hours to stitch and producing no profit to I'm all about that 3 to 10,000 stitch sweet spot right there. That's my sweet spot. Anything too crazy, I probably hand it off to somebody else. Like, hey, you know what? uh that's not a fit for me. All right, especially if you have a home embroidery or you do this on the side, you really don't have time to do all these crazy designs. You're all about putting that quality slash quantity. Okay, you want to pump out as many designs as you can with the lowest amount of stitches. All right, but you've already done all your homework, all your text looks sharp. Okay, so nobody can mess with you in the department of cleanness of lettering. All right, so that's what I'm doing right now, is just focusing on my lettering, making sure my lettering is as sharp as can be. All right, because text logo, that's where the money's at. All right, all right, Kingsbury, appreciate that. All right, um, all right, Catherine, great class, learning a lot. All right. Yeah, yeah. So polos, that's my thing. Okay. So polos, hat, beanies, those are like my go-to places, right? But polo shirts, like I said in the beginning, if you're embroidering on polo shirts, 99% of the chance you're making money. Okay, you're making money because you are servicing businesses, low stitch count, and profit wise. Okay, you're making profit just on the retail price of the polo shirt versus what you're getting it right as a vendor. Okay, that's covering. So just because you're making money on the garment doesn't necessarily mean that's all profit, right? Um, a lot of that money that you're making is going to the expenses of the actual, right? The backing, all the little small stuff that people don't really talk about. Okay. So do not ever feel guilty. Some people, they want to charge, right? If they bought a polo shirt for $10, they want to charge the customer $10. Okay. What you're doing, you're kind of like you're hurting yourself, right? You want to charge whatever the retail price is, that's the price you want to give. So we took a field trip today to the Sanmar website. Whatever that price that customer sees, that's what they should be paying for. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about retail price. Okay. Because whatever money you're making on top of that, that's going to expenses also. So don't think I'm making a profit. It's not fair for me to make profit on the garment because you're really not. Okay. Your money is going to expenses. Eventually, if a project goes perfectly fine, then yes, you might make a profit on that. But sometimes you might have a garment that gets messed up. So you got to kind of replace that garment. So a lot of times, whatever money you think you're making, it's really going as a backup. Okay. In case you mess up on a piece of garment, hey, I made enough, I charged enough to back up that mistake. Okay. So you don't really know if you're making a profit till that job is like completely done. Maybe like 2 weeks after, right? Because then they still have to receive that product and make sure that nothing went wrong. Okay, so do not ever feel guilty because I've seen people feel guilty like, hey, I shouldn't charge retail price because that's not what I'm paying for. That's not what I paid for the garment. Okay, so always remember you're still paying little expenses that nobody really thinks about. Customer doesn't really know it exists, but trust me, okay, because people say that thread some people say, "Hey, I'm not worried about thread. You know, thread is very minute. It's an expense that I don't really think about." Okay, but just real quick, okay, you got to make sure, okay, every little small detail is being accounted for because just this week, right? Very common every month or every other month. Okay, we just spent like $200 on thread and your basic thread. Okay, so don't ever think, yes, relatively on a piece of shirt right now, I probably spent 10 cents on thread, right? But in reality, you're still in the big picture, you're still paying $200 for thread, okay? One way or another. All right? So always make sure you're getting a full profit, okay? So you're making your money on your retail price and you're pricing accordingly to on your actual stitching, okay? On the actual embroidery portion. All right. So we're definitely gonna do an episode on just pricing alone because pricing alone is a good conversation we gotta have. Okay. Because what happens is if you're not pricing accordingly, and you'll see it, okay, you'll see it. You'll see people burning out. Number one reason why embroidery is not fun, a reason why you will lose your passion on embroidery is because the expenses is it overtakes everything. As soon as you're not making a profit, this embroidery is not fun anymore. All right. So always make sure you're charging accordingly. All right. All right, Audrey, appreciate that. All right. Uh let's see. Junko, 3,000 to 10,000 stitches. How much should I charge? All right. What kind of shirt are you? Okay. What kind of shirt are you doing? All right. I don't me personally, I don't accept customer garments. Okay, so I'm charging. I order all my stuff online, and whatever the retail. All right, I think I'm back. All right, I kind of lost my train of thought right now, but all right, three to. Oh yeah, okay. So I don't accept garments from customers. So you got to charge retail price on the polo shirt, and then either 3,000 to 10,000 stitches. Okay, depending on the detail of that artwork. Okay, you can charge anywhere from 10 to $25 on top of that retail price. Okay, that's just a judgment call. Uh, I think the more specialized in a certain niche, the more higher you can raise you can set your price. Okay. With experience, you're gonna know what the price. Okay. So depending on how much you're gonna spend, okay, you're doing the mathematical problem. But yeah, I would say anywhere 10,000 being the most minimum price, right? $10 to $25 of a price on top of whatever you charge. Okay. And it also depends on quantity how much because you might charge different for 12 pieces than you would 24 than you would 48. So anytime you talk about pricing, you got to include like 4 pieces of information. All right. All right. All right. Allison, yes, I know. Are we going to learn how to digitize for caps? Yes. Maybe next week, all right? I think next week I have on the list. We're gonna start doing hats, all right? So we this is week 7, right? Week 7 is this week, and we've been going heavy on text. We've been going heavy on little plain logos, on beanies, on flats. Okay, now we're slowly going to transition into caps. Okay, so now we're going into where our garment is kind of like going on a more awkward position. All right, good stuff. Yeah. All right. And then eventually from cats, we get into the 3D puff, right? So the 3D puff, definitely where the money's at. Okay. Money is at polo shirts, 3D puff. That's where the money is at. All right. So we're definitely going to go there. All right. T Town, I like to go to Jiffy and see what they go and charge around that price. All right. So, yep. There's different ways to do different things. So you could always check that. All right. Bevy Jean, appreciate this. Thanks again. Learned a lot like always. Thanks again for a template. Yep. They're on their way. All right. Um, where do you order your polo from? All right. So Sanmar, so the website that I showed in the beginning. All right. If you missed the beginning part, it's gonna be on the replay, but I use Sanmar. All right. Actually, let me see. Bam, this website right here, Sanmar. Okay, sanmar.com. All right. If you don't have an account there, you could request to get an account. All right. Um, all right. Appreciate that, Alina. Next live. All right. I do have just a heads up. I do have, hold on. I am going to put out a video either Monday or Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a very big one that I've been kind of planning for 3 weeks. All right. So in the background, I've been kind of creating this video that I'm finally going to put out on Monday or Tuesday. All right. So it's going to be a good one. Look out for that. Make sure you put your notification for Romero Threads. All right. I think we're moving along pretty good in our embroidery school. All right. It's not like I've been doing embroidery teaching, right, for like forever. Okay. It's just something that we started here this year. And I think as a whole, we're kind of learning all together. And each show is getting better and better and better as we go. All right. And as as we go, we're going to build more templates and information to help everybody out. And everybody that's here on the live, I appreciate that. All right. Great class. Thank you. Thank you, McGee. All right. Everybody that's here on the chat, all right, you're making this class better because you're asking the good questions, like the questions that I forget about. Okay. I don't remember them till after the live. I kind of remember like, oh smack, I should have mentioned that. So you guys keep me on my toes, right, with all the questions. And even like the suggestions, all right, because we have embroiderers from all different type of niches, all right, and different type of category. So I appreciate all the additional information that you add to this show. All right. So with that being said, uh, it's a wrap for today. All right. So everybody have a good Saturday. Have a good weekend. Hopefully the Rams win the Super Bowl. All right. And then we'll see you next week. All right. Till next time. Peace out.